powerful message today that I think can transform your life is that you can go beyond where you are. Life can become such a hopeless journey sometimes. People who started out with dreams and ambitions and passions, and they're frustrated because now it's not what I planned. You have children and you have this idea that these kids are going to be, where they're going to go to school, and some of you work so hard to be disappointed. Marriage has disappointed you. Life has disappointed you. The real question is, what can happen in your life to transform this disappointment? You see, I believe Easter is a prophecy about your future. All that Jesus did and went through is to show you insights that will not only bring deliverance to your life, but show you the potential of your life. If you look with me in the book of Luke chapter 22, verse 39, today I want to talk about from a text that may surprise you. Most of the time you would start in Matthew 28 and you talk about the first day of the week and Christ rose. But I want to back it up a little bit. I want to start where the trouble started. I want to go back to the day when he was making a decision. That was the decision that transformed our lives. The decision to commit to a price that was high, to commit to finishing something that was difficult. It's when you're in the last push. It's not the beginning of the race. It's the last push of the race. It's the last challenge. It's that day when you come to finals. And these are his final exams. This is the day he runs into the incredible price tag for our deliverance. Verse 39 of Luke 22. Coming out, he went to the Mount of Olives, and as he was accustomed, and his disciples also followed him. When he came to the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not enter into temptation." Verse 41, and he was withdrawn from them about a stone's throw, and he knelt down, and he prayed this prayer, "Father, if it is your will, take this cup away from me." That is the prayer we often pray. Could you please lighten the load? Is there a way around these difficulties? It's in that moment that you see the humanity of Christ. You see the world raining down on him and the challenges of life causing him to make this incredible statement. In that moment, he's deciding, is there a way around this? The answer was no. So he says, "Nevertheless, not my will, but let thine will be done." There's a lot about this that's challenging. The biggest part is the dying part. That is an incredible thing to deal with. In my life, I deal with death and I deal with life all the time. Last week, I had a wedding. A beautiful young lady. She comes down the aisle and I stand there and watch her. The day of her dreams, the man of her dreams. Oh, they looked good. Everybody was sharp. It was magnificent. And I knew for her this was an important day because she specifically told me months ago, "You are doing my wedding. No matter where you are in the world, you are doing my wedding." And so they asked me about a year ago to make sure that I had the date set aside. But in the same week, matter of fact, the very next day, I had a funeral. That's my life. I go from one extreme to the other. I go from dedicating a baby to the other side of life when people lose life. Jesus is facing death. It's tough to make that change. I've always tried to be realistic about it, but I found out that it's hard when you're facing it. I had a guy, his name was Rodney. He was in hospice care. And I walked in and I said, "Rodney, you look great." He said, "You're lying, preacher." "I look awful." And I said, "Yeah, you do. You like you're dying." And in that moment, we both laughed and captured something. The moment was a true moment How do I face death? You go to the doctor and he gives you this bad report. Come back for a retest. You just hate those words. Why don't you just tell me I'm fine? We won't know until the test. It's an emotional moment for Christ to be facing death. Emotionally, it's hard to get past it. But he's thinking about you. And in my life, weekly, and I really mean that, every week, I'm dealing with somebody facing something life-threatening and challenging. And I have to learn how to see beyond it, because I can't help them. There are moments when I don't want to go to the hospital, or I don't want to deal with this bad news, or I don't want this phone call. I have a staff person who calls, and when they call, I put on my phone this ring, dun, 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 dun. Every time they call, you think, oh boy, what's going on now? It's some bad news. But facing life and facing the challenges of life brings something out of you. And in this moment in Gethsemane, you hear Christ saying, is there a way around this? The same prayer you prayed. And sometimes the answer is no. There's no way but forward. There's no way to ignore the challenges of this moment. But I love the fact that he rose to the occasion and said, not my will, but let thine will be done. And that was groundbreaking.